Hey headphone people, welcome back to the channel, and got a special headphone for you today. Susvara's. Finally had a chance to try them. This has been like the headphone that I wanted to try ever since I got the HE6, and just love that headphone. And then I've just been digging Hifiman so much. I had the opportunity here recently, if you've been following the channel, as you know, to get my hands on several flagship headphones, LCD5, Diana TC, RAL SR1A, Final D8000 Pro, you know, just some amazing headphones, but this has been the one that I have wanted to try, and ultimately I thought it would be my favorite. You know, based on everything that I had heard about all these top tier headphones and things like that, I thought, based on my trust in other reviewers that I feel like have sonic preferences similar to me, I thought Susvara, that's gonna be the one. And I was right. It is the one. So let's talk about it here. And honestly, first I'm gonna cut to a video of me doing the opening, because thanks to friend of the channel, Ahmed, he actually bought this Susvara brand spanking new and allowed me to do the unboxing of it for the channel. So I'll cut to that. I cut down the video a little bit because I want to talk about build here today with you, because I've been using this headphone for about 2 weeks now. So I have a really good grasp on what it can do and what it feels like to use and all that. So let's cut to the unboxing, watch that, we'll get back, we'll dig into this headphone, and we'll dig into my ranking list of these top tier headphones, and we'll see how it stacks up against some of the other best headphones in the world. So I will see you again in a few minutes here. Okay, so we got this box straight from Hifiman, nothing fancy there. And the box that's inside of this does look a little special. Alright, Susvara. Feel like a kid on Christmas morning here. Okay, here we go. So my initial impression, right, is that the box, it looks pretty similar to the HE1000 box. It's nice, you know, it's nice, kind of leather. I don't know if it's real leather or fake, probably fake, I'm guessing, but you know, that's pretty standard anymore. Got a little warranty card there, and then look at this bad boy. It's like a hardcover book. I haven't had a chance to look at it, obviously. I'll probably have to dig in this while I'm doing some listening here, but you know, details about technology, a lot of pictures of like old opera houses. I don't know. It looks cool. It's neat. I'll be excited to see what's in there. But what we really want to know, how does the headphone look? So it comes with the standard kind of higher end Hifiman cables, which is to say, I mean, they sound good and they work, but they're this weird surgical tubey stuff that I think we all have kind of gotten used to, that being kind of a little weird thing. Looks like we've got a 4-pin balance and a 1/4 inch on that. And then kind of typical Hifiman fashion here of having the headphone kind of sunken down in, you know, some like a velour, not velour, but like a satiny kind of cloth there. And then we got the headphones out. So let me set this stuff aside here for a second. Okay, so unboxing, right? It's not, I don't know. I'm not a big unboxing person. The Susvara, it's nice, but it's really just a little bit above a regular Hifiman, right? Nothing super crazy fancy. The build of the headphone, let's go ahead and talk about that. I do think it's a really well-built headphone. It definitely feels premium. Is it the best built? I don't think so. Matter of fact, if we look at my ranking list in this regard, you'll see that I rank several headphones above it. Okay, so when we're looking at my ranking list, I've got the Susvara at number 4 on the list out of 7 headphones. The number 1 I thought was the Final D8000 Pro. I just love that headphone. You can find that review linked in the ranking list. I've got LCD5, I think is a number 5. Then I've got the Diana TC, and all of these headphones, though, are phenomenally well built. I just think there are others that best the Susvara in this regard. It's wood, it's metal, it looks premium, it feels premium, it's comfortable to wear, it feels just like the rest of these hi-fi men with these suspension systems, which is a really good thing, right? Like, you get a real leather suspension strap, feels good, just the perfect amount of clamp in my opinion. It holds the weight really well. It is a little bit heavier of a headphone, but it's nothing that bothered me at all. The cups have full articulation, which I like. I like them because I can lay them flat in videos and they look awesome, but it's just, you get the perfect fit on your head, right? They can articulate and sit on your head perfectly. So I love them personally, and I think they look cool. I like the wood. I like the silver. I like it all. I have no complaints about the build at all. It's just that some of those other headphones are like masterful in their build, where this I would just say is the best that Hi-Fi Man has to offer, but that's not best in the world, right? Comfort, however, I think is top of the line, right? I actually have my HE1000 V2s here. I think they're built similar to the Susvara. I'd say just a step below it, or maybe this is just their older manufacturing because this is the V2, so it's several years old at this point. But these, I just think the oval cups are like a little bit more comfortable and they're a little bit lighter weight. So I like, out of all these headphones, I thought that 1000s were my favorite comfort-wise, but the Susvaras come in a close second, and really I could go either way on that. Honestly, it's just a little bit more weight on the Susvara. Their pads are typical Hi-Fi Man protein leather, cloth on the part that contacts your face. All that's good. They're nothing fancy or crazy, but they do just what they need to do, right? No problems there. So I talked about the cables in the unboxing. We don't need to touch that. Let's get into sound. And that is where this guy just, it's not that it's so much better than everything else in this list. It is just suits my preferences perfectly, right? Like, it just suits my preferences perfect, and it just does everything really, really, really well. While it's not the best in class in every single category, it is up there in all of them, and it just comes together in a cohesive package that, honestly, when I'm listening to the Susvara, like, there's nothing that I would want different. Like, I mean, so what, I don't know, it's at the level of matching my preferences enough that, like, whenever I was listening to it and like taking notes, I'm like, I have no idea what I would change about this. Like, I wouldn't touch it. I feel like any tweaking or anything I would try to do this headphone, I think I would probably mess it up. So I love it the way it is. So let's talk about that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna be referencing my ranking list a lot during this. We'll mix between me talking to you and screen recordings and things like that. I'll try not to dwell too much on other headphones because I do want to just focus on the Susvara. Again, all of these headphones will have their own separate reviews. I think after this one, I'll just have the LCD5, which will be coming soon. So stay tuned for that one. But I will draw a few comparisons, okay? So again, Susvara is highlighted in green, so you can keep track of that a little bit, right? So base, I've got it at a 5. Why is it at a 5 and not at the top? What do the LCD5 and the Diana TC do better than these? Well, I think their base is better defined, both of them. I think you get a little more resolution in the base, and that's probably just all around throughout the frequency range. I would say both the Diana TC and the LCD5 edge out the Susvara in pure detail resolution, right? But that is not saying that the Susvara is a slouch. It's wonderful in detail and resolution, but just not quite at the level of those other two, I don't think. However, what the Susvara lacks in like that supreme technical performance and detail, it makes up for in timbre, I think, and just cohesion and just enjoyable, nice presentation. Okay, bass is good. It's present. I would say the Susvara is a warmer tilting headphone, at least on the amps that I've tried it on, such as the Bioelectric B280 and the HSA1B. The Soloist is a little more clean cut, but still I feel like the Susvara just has, it's got a warm bass to it that just, it's full and rich, and it extends really well. It has, the quantity I'd say is perfect for me, which means it's more than the LCD5, but less than the Diana TC when you get the seal broken. So just a nice middle ground, balanced, cohesive with the rest of the frequency response. The mids is where the Susvara, I feel like, handily beats those other two headphones. It just sounds so believable and natural, and just voices are rich, and like middle frequency instruments like strings and piano just are full and full bodied and textured and just lifelike, man. They really put you there, especially in those middle frequencies. I feel like the Susvara really shines. If you've been around for any of these reviews, you know that I'm a big vocal person. I love acoustic music. I love folk music. That's what I listen to more than anything else. So I want my headphones to do vocals really well, and the Susvara, I think, are the pinnacle in that. As far as any other headphone I've ever tried, the Susvara just nail vocals, and just acoustic stuff just sounds phenomenal on this headphone. Just the timbre is just perfect, right? Treble, moving on to that, right? It, again, similar to the bass, right? Like, it's wonderful. I love the treble. I think the treble level is just where I want it. It's maybe a little more present than on the LCD5, but it's there. It's not harsh at all. Like, it's well resolved. It sounds good. The timbre on it is correct. Just beautifully well done. Super well extended, and has that nice hi-fi man kind of air to it that I really have come to love and enjoy. Again, I think maybe the LCD5 and to a lesser extent the Diana TC edge it out in resolution and just pure detail up there. But again, I think the Susvara, if you're comparing it to the rest of the frequency response and just that cohesive natural presentation, Susvara wins just across the board for me, even if it doesn't outperform all those other headphones in every single little minute detail. Timbre, I don't need to spend too long on this. I mean, I've you know how I feel about it. It's amazing. I almost said perfect there. I guess I probably shouldn't use perfect, but like for me, it's spot on. It sounds great. Everything sounds natural and just true to life. It's just wonderful. I thought the LCD5 is pretty good timbre-wise too, but it's much more of a, while the Susvara is more of a richer presentation, the LCD5 is more like just unrelenting, like performance. So in that regard, I feel like the LCD5 is pretty accurate, but it's not trying to like make it more enjoyable at all. So if you think of these as like sports cars or something along those lines, right? Like the LCD5 is going to be the stripped down, no frills, like race car performance, right? You'd ride along and it's bumpy and like, just race car, right? Like everything's tight, but like it's just you're feeling every little bump in the road. The Susvara has performance, but it's like a luxury performance car, right? So it's it's got the leather seats and it's got the cushy ride, but it still handles super well and things like that. So that's kind of the way I have been thinking about it when I'm thinking about this comparison. Spatial presentation, again, I feel like the Susvara is king of spatial presentation. Just everything I listen to, just you get like I feel like when you get up into these higher end headphones, a lot of it is about like, the music sounds like music on all the headphones throughout all the ranges, right? The songs are going to sound like the songs, but I feel like when you start to get into these upper tiered systems and sounds and higher quality DACs and higher quality amplifiers, what you're really getting is kind of almost like more the space between notes, right? It's how do things decay and come in and like, and that's what really adds in like the detail and the feeling that you're like there in the room, is you can hear all those little things coming and going just super precisely and everywhere they are, throughout the track. Like you just get a super accurate view of what that's supposed to look like, accurate as in like, for me, it sounds natural in the way it should. And like, I can imagine myself being there. Whether that's what it actually sounds like, I have no idea, but like, it makes me believe, I guess, is the way I should put that. And image separation comes with that too. And so like, so the next two categories, image separation, spatial presentation, dynamics, like the Susvara does really good in all these categories. I feel like the dynamics aren't as good as on the LCD5 and the Diana TC, but still phenomenal. And in these categories, like this is really where I feel like the Susvara sets itself apart from the HE1000V2. I actually really feel like these two headphones sound very, very similar overall. It's just the Susvara does things just a little bit better, and it's a little more dynamic. It presents space a little bit better. Its image separates just a little bit better. It's just a little bit higher resolution, but the overall kind of like feeling I get from both headphones and the overall sound signature is really, really similar. But the Susvara just does everything just that much better, right? So resolution, phenomenal. Again, I put it below the LCD5 and the Diana TC, but it's still exceptional, right? It just maybe isn't quite at that level, but still really, really good. And then we get into the listening. Now, this is what's interesting about the Susvara, I think personally. Like, I feel like the presentation overall is done in a way that this headphone actually does a really great job at both being a relaxed listen and being a super engaging, exciting listen. Like, so I feel like I can keep the volume a little bit lower on the Susvara, and it's pretty mellow and it's rich and warm and just relaxing to listen to. I feel like I can crank it up a few notches, and then I really like the dynamics kind of take over, and I get, really excited and engaged while I'm listening. So I feel like in that regard, it's phenomenal and really versatile in that, just at least for me, it can suit like all my listening needs pretty much for any type of music. So I don't think, while I do love the Susvara with acoustic music and chill folk music and stuff like that, I also thought it was exceptional for classic rock. I even listened to like some Tool with it and was just really digging that, just because it does everything so well. And I can pick everything out so well, and it's not harsh, but it's super detailed and just rich and full. Like, I don't know, everything sounds good on this headphone. Now, is it going to be the end-all be-all for all genres of music? Probably not, right? Like, if you're an electronic person or something like that and you really want slam, then probably the Diana TC would be like more for that regard. If you want like that super clean, like fast, more clinical listen, LCD5, right, is going to be what you're going to gravitate towards, at least in my opinion. But if you just want kind of a do-it-all, jack-of-all-trades, enjoyable to listen to everything, Susvara does it, and does it extremely well. So let's jump back to practicality here real fast, because this is where the Susvara loses, because it does need a ton of power. I mean, you've heard that, and that's definitely true. I do feel like it sounded the best on the RAL Requisite HSA1B, which is like a $4,000 amplifier or something like that. Crazy, and people will spend, like, we're already talking about like a $6,000 headphone here, right? $4,000 on the used market, and maybe a little less if you do really good. But you are talking about investing in a chain that can give this thing what it wants. That being said, I personally really enjoyed it on the Soloist and on the Vioelectric V280 with that Sochorus 2541 DAC. So I don't know that you have to spend like, thousands and thousands of dollars to get this to sound good. You definitely don't. But there probably is something to that idea of like scaling it with really, really high-end gear. I totally believe that probably is the case. But I mean, I was extremely pleased with it and thought it sounded the best out of everything I had on, my $1,000 DAC, $1,000 amplifier. So, I mean, I wouldn't, if you have the money, right, to buy a Susvara and you already have, a DAC or amp of similar quality to those ones I just talked about, I wouldn't hesitate to pull the trigger on it if you're wanting to try it. I think you'll be fine. Maybe it's dangerous for down the road. You'll be pushed to purchase something multi-$1,000 for a DAC or multi-$1,000 for an amp, but I don't think it's necessary to enjoy the Susvara. That being said, it still does need power and needs a good chain, and so it's rated a little bit lower in practicality just because you're not going to be able to use it in all situations or with all gear. And that's where like the HE1000 I feel like is a really nice trade-off in this regard. Number one, $1,500 versus like $4,000, right? Number two, this thing can be driven on just about everything. Now, of course, does it like higher end stuff? Will you get more performance out of it? Yeah, sure. But like, I was legit listening to this thing with FIA's new UTW S5s. Like, I legit was listening to these with those, and it was fine, and it sounded good still. Like, does it sound as good as on my Sochorus and V280? No, but of course not, right? But it could be done, is the point, in that I can use the HE1000, like, in different locations around the house, away from my desk. Not the case with the Susvara, okay? So that's where the HE1000 is a big win. The other headphone that I wanted to talk about, because I know people want to know this, so I did spend some time going back and forth between the Susvara and the HE6SEv2. People draw comparisons to those, and they say, the HE6 is kind of like a baby Susvara and things like that. I mean, it's not. They're definitely both hi-fi mans, and they're definitely both kind of in that same realm of, style of sound and doing the things well that hi-fi mans do. I think the HE1000 is closer to the Susvara than the HE6 is, for sure. When I was going back and forth, what the word that came to my mind is stale when I went from the Susvara to the HE6. So I feel like if you think of the Susvara as like a chip, like a potato chip or something like that, that's maybe a bad metaphor, but just go with me on it, right? Like, the Susvara is like you just opened up the bag and it's crisp and has a lot of flavor, right? And just like, is addicting maybe too, is part of the thing. So it's got all the flavor, it's got all the crispness, it's got the texture, it's got that nice little snap, when you bite into it and stuff like that. So and then you go to the HE6 and it still kind of has that same flavor, but it just, the texture's a little off, and it's just not as crisp and nice. That was kind of how I thought of it. So does it sound similar? Yeah. Is the Susvara like maybe another iteration like up that line? I think so. Is the HE6 like 95% of the Susvara? No. I don't think so. I mean, those quantities are all arbitrary and things like that, but I don't feel like you get super close to the Susvara with the HE6. I feel like the HE1000 gets me closer than the HE6 does. That's not to say that the HE6 is not wonderful for, $500. It totally is. It's a fantastic headphone for $500, but it's not like you're not getting the majority of the Susvara experience, I wouldn't say. You're getting a taste of what you can, if you listen to the HE6, I feel like you can imagine what the Susvara sounds like, which is what I was doing, and yeah, I feel like it was pretty much what I imagined. So, to bring all this back around, and looking at, again, total scores on my ranking list, where I ranked all the headphones out of, just in order, out of 7, which is what they were, and placed them in each category. The Susvara and the LCD5 tied at 71 points. Those were the highest scores. The HE1000 for me came in third at 58 points, with the Diana TC coming in behind that at 53 points. So if money was no object for me and I needed to buy a couple of headphones, I would buy the Susvara and the LCD5. I like them both, but the Susvara would definitely be my preference. If I had to pick one of those, I would definitely take the Susvara. I like the LCD5 just because of its sheer performance, and it's kind of an alternative sound signature, right, to the Susvara, in that it's very fast and technical and clean and clinical, I would say, while still being, good and kind of natural sounding. But the Susvara is just my pure enjoyment. Does it all super well. Just love it. I just love it. Now, when you come in here and you start talking about value, right, the Susvara becomes a pretty hard sell, because it's, a $4,000 to $6,000 headphone, depending on if you buy it used or new, plus you need all the equipment to get it going and all that stuff. So for me, will I ever own a Susvara? I don't know. It seems like a stretch for me. Especially when I feel like the HE1000 really does a lot of the same things really well and keeps kind of the same spirit of the Susvara, but also is way cheaper, but also can be driven more easily in a variety of situations. So I can use it in my bed, I can use it walking around the house, I can use it at my desk on my main setup, where the Susvara has to live on the desk. But it all comes down to, like, what's your situation? Do you just listen at your desk? Do you have multiple places in your house where you can have super high level gear? I don't know. If that's the case, the Susvara is amazing. I can't imagine you being disappointed if you try the Susvara. You just got to know that you need to give it power, and that it's going to cost you a lot of money, I guess, is what it comes down to. So I hope that helps. Again, I got a review of the LCD5 coming up. Again, thank you to Ahmed for sending this and allowing me this experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and now I feel like I know what the best headphones in the world sound like. So that's my take on the Susvara. It's amazing. I love it. Sadly, it has to go back tomorrow, but c'est la vie. At least I got 2 weeks with it, right? Maybe again, my circumstances will allow me to pick another one up and to own it. Who knows what the future will bring. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. Alternative opinions, comments, questions, anything like that, drop them down below. Please subscribe if you find these videos useful. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.